Recently, ViewSonic Malaysia released this brand new 27-inch monitor into the Malaysian market. Specifically, this is the ViewSonic VX2718-P-MHD. Not too sure what's the naming scheme is about, but I did find out that this is parked under the entertainment series of monitors. So without further ado though, let's get into it and see if this monitor is good or not. Firstly, before we get into the details about this monitor in particular, we have to point out something, because in ViewSonic Malaysia's website, there is actually yet another monitor that has a very similar naming scheme to this exact monitor that we have here. So the extra C there is actually to denote that it is the curved version of this particular monitor here. There are a few differences, but since we don't have the curved version with us, so we can't make a proper comparison between the two. So we'll only just talk about this flat version here. And speaking of flat, yes, this is a 27-inch monitor, 1080p in resolution using a VA panel, and it can go up to 165Hz native. And it also has adaptive sync, and this monitor is actually a G-Sync compatible FreeSync monitor. So yes, inside the NVIDIA control panel, we can enable G-Sync if we are only using DisplayPort. And speaking of DisplayPort, we should talk about the ports available on this monitor here, because it's kind of enough for your, let's just say, your gaming station, because it does have double HDMI 1.4 ports and a single DisplayPort 1.2. This means that if you're connecting to this monitor via HDMI, you can only go up to 1080p at 144Hz, or if you connect it with a DisplayPort port like what I'm doing here on my desktop at the back, then you will get 1080p at 165Hz. And we also have a 3.5mm audio out port, so yes, you can plug in your headphones or earphones to this monitor and then you can listen to whatever music that you want. And this monitor also has a built-in speaker, but the sound is, well, I would say serviceable if you really need something to just play you some audio. And at the back of this monitor, there's also something else that I really like, which is a built-in power supply. So you only need a power jack, connect it to the monitor, then power it on. You don't have an external power brick hanging around, and that's good, because if you ever want to wall mount this monitor, yes, this monitor does support VESA mount as well. It will keep the cables as minimal as possible. And if you ever want to wall mount this monitor, it's easy because it's also kind of lightweight. As you can see here, you can literally lift it with one hand. Don't want to do it right now because it'll screw up a lot of things, but you get the idea. This built-in stand here, I would say it's pretty good, but it only allows you to tilt the screen, which is, well, there's no height adjustment, so ergonomically speaking, it's kind of limited. And then let's talk about the installation process, because you will have to take out a screwdriver, because you still need to screw in just one screw at the neck shaft of this monitor right here. Yeah, it's so close to being completely toolless, but that one screw is still necessary. And that screw though, at first I didn't think it will need a screw, but upon further inspection, the screw is actually hidden inside the user manual's bag, which, yeah. And speaking of this user manual bag, in the box you also get a UK plug for power, and then another, I don't know what port is this, but it's also for power. And one more, this is a DisplayPort cable that is also included in the box. Everything is laid out nicely, so good job there, ViewSonic. And running games at 165Hz on this monitor right here, I have zero complaints about it. It runs really well, and also the OSD menu here is very nicely laid out. The controls are very logical, and everything is just very nice. And speaking of the OSD menu, we can also tune everything to sRGB mode, and then take out our colorimeter and test its colors. One thing I realized is that this monitor is insanely color accurate, even though it is meant for gamers, I would say. And yeah, we do get about 96% sRGB color gamut coverage, and the delta E number is very, very low. What that means is that I can literally use this monitor for content creation, and the colors will still look great out of the box. And of course, we have to point out that the pixel density of this monitor here is not exactly the best, because it is a 27-inch monitor with 1080p in resolution. But I do realize that this is a VA panel, but I didn't realize any quality difference compared to an IPS LCD screen. In fact, I'm actually pleasantly surprised because this VA panel is actually really beautiful, and yeah, no complaints in terms of colors or clarity. And officially, this monitor right here, the ViewSonic VX2718-P-MHD, is priced at 819 ringgit, but I did find this monitor to be somewhere at around 799 ringgit. Whichever the price is, even though if it's at 799 or 819 ringgit, I would say this is a very nice monitor, because I did scour around the internet to see if there's any alternative from other prominent brands for this kind of specs. I can't find any. So yeah, ViewSonic, good job, because this monitor is really good. I like the colors, I like the whole build quality of it. It's really clean, OSD menu is good, all of the jacks and ports are coming from the bottom, so wall mounting or even just monitor arm mounting this thing will be really slick and clean as well. And yeah, overall 165Hz 1080p with, well, FreeSync compatible, no, G-Sync compatible FreeSync. It's good. Yeah, no screen tearing, and I'm able to play some games on this monitor without issues at all, and that's just amazing. And yeah, that's all we have for you for this video. Again, this is the ViewSonic VX2718-P-MHD. Yeah, and we'll see you guys in the next video. I have no idea why the kids outside are so noisy, by the way. It's like, what, 9 PM right now?